I flew overseas on Valentine's Day to surprise my fiancé studying abroad. When I arrived at his apartment, I discovered he was sharing the place with a female classmate. They shopped together, raised a pet together. They looked more like an engaged couple than he and I ever had. I immediately returned home, froze all his credit cards, and reclaimed the house his parents had been living in. I'd tolerated this far too long. I first saw Ethan at the foot of his apartment building. A girl walked beside him, both laughing while he carried grocery bags. They only noticed me when they got closer. My fiancé Ethan froze for several seconds, his eventual reaction devoid of any delight. He subtly stepped away from the girl, asking in faux surprise, "Sophia? What are you doing here?" I waved my phone. "Grandpa insisted I come bond with you." The girl beside him studied me curiously before blurting out, "Are you Ethan's fiancé?" I answered, eyeing her. Olivia blinked, then smiled with dewy innocence. "Ethan never mentioned an engagement. And you're so gorgeous." She playfully swatted his arm. "How could you keep this from me?" Before she finished, Ethan frowned at me. "Which hotel are you staying at? Taxis are scarce here at night." I snorted. "Didn't this apartment have 2 bedrooms? The same one my assistant helped you lease? Or should I call the landlord for a spare key?" Dragging my suitcase into the elevator, I left them trailing silently behind. Upstairs, Olivia unlocked the door. I wheeled my luggage inside and planted myself on the living room sofa, staring them down. "We didn't get to introductions earlier. Who exactly are you? And why do you have access to my fiancé's home?" Ethan cut in first. "This is Olivia, a junior in my program. She was getting bullied in the dorms. Since we're both from back home, I offered the spare room temporarily." I actually laughed aloud. "So you're cohabitating now?" Olivia hovered nervously by the entrance. "It's not like that. I'll start apartment hunting tomorrow. Your handbag could cover 6 months' rent." I nodded, nodding at her designer tote. Her cheeks flushed. "I'll move out immediately. Please don't be upset." "Sophia!" Ethan raised his voice, a first in our decade-long relationship. The art school golden boy rarely lost his polished composure. "I'm being unreasonable?" I scoffed. "You're secretly living with another woman. Should we call her your mistress? Or let people assume I'm the side piece?" He fell silent, rolling my eyes. I turned to Olivia. "Find a place by week's end." Hauling my luggage into Ethan's bedroom, I called over my shoulder, "You're on the couch tonight." After showering in Ethan's bathroom, I emerged to find both of them huddled in the kitchen. The petite girl used chopsticks to pick up vegetables from the pot, feeding the boy chopping ingredients beside her. Olivia asked, "How did I do this time, Ethan?" Ethan responded while tasting. Noticeable improvement. You taught me well." Olivia giggled, edging closer. "Does it have that comforting homemade flavor?" I leaned against the doorframe observing them, wearing matching couple aprons. Their bodies gravitated until mere inches separated them, gazes intertwining like molten caramel. Click! The sudden sound made them spring apart, faces flushing crimson. "How daring!" I remarked, flirting with forbidden romance under my roof. My lips curled in distaste, like toads crawling on skin, harmless yet revolting. Turning to Ethan, I stated, "We're video calling Grandfather Martin before his surgery tomorrow. Clean up your mess with Miss Phillips. I won't tolerate disruptions during this critical shareholders discussion." After dinner in his bedroom, Ethan attempted explanations. "Sophia, Liv and I aren't." His voice softened uncharacteristically. I cut through his theatrics. "The Ming Dynasty scroll you wanted? Acquired. The exclusive invitation to Chris's private gallery opening?" I produced the embossed card. One word from him could make any artist's career. The video call lasted 30 tense minutes. Even after disconnecting, Ethan kept his arm draped around my shoulders. I shifted slightly while reviewing the equity transfer documents grandfather had sent, only to feel his grip tighten. Having you here, Ethan nuzzled my neck, breath warm against my skin. It means more than you know. Had this happened before his European art residency, I might have melted. We'd been childhood companions after all, the golden boy who'd never glanced at other girls. But watching him blush at Olivia's simpering today, I coldly ejected him from the room. I need rest after 3 months of non-stop work. The door lock engaged with finality. Dawn light filtered through the curtains as I replayed every detail. Grandfather's 38% stake in Martin Group hung in the balance. Ethan's sudden affection reeked of opportunism, a poorly calculated gamble from someone who'd underestimated how thoroughly I'd transformed from the infatuated girl trailing after him to the architect of our family empire. Let him play house with his little art student. By week's end, those shares would be mine. Then we'd see who truly held the reins. I was jolted awake by barking dogs. Rubbing my eyes, I opened the bedroom door to find Olivia in workout gear with a golden retriever. I hadn't noticed we had a dog in the house yesterday. Morning, Sophia. I'm taking Ian for his morning run. Then apartment hunting this afternoon. Olivia chirped brightly. Yesterday's awkwardness forgotten as she clipped the leash onto the golden retriever's collar. Good boy, Ian. Let's go running with Mommy. She called towards the kitchen where Ethan was making breakfast. Don't forget Junior's canned food today. Ethan. It's Saturday. Grabbing the dog's paw, she waved it at him. Say bye to Daddy. The pair bounced out the door like some deranged sitcom family. Well, at least I've now witnessed authentic performative femininity in its natural habitat. Ethan avoided eye contact, offering an embarrassed smile. At lunchtime, he took me to a French bistro where we immediately encountered 2 of his classmates, a French couple. The guy greeted him in rapid French. Ethan, you're dating already? Olivia's been posting apartment listings all morning. Trouble in paradise? When Ethan denied it, the girlfriend sniffed. So is this your new admirer? Does she know you and Olivia are practically married? My champagne flute paused halfway to lips. Homewrecker? Charming. Are Ethan and Olivia dating? I asked the guy directly in flawless French. His startled I think so, made Ethan's espresso cup clatter against its saucer. How interesting, I said, rising smoothly. As Ethan's officially engaged fiancé, complete with signed prenup and New York Times wedding announcement draft, perhaps your friend Olivia should review her real estate options more carefully. The Merlot arced beautifully across Ethan's stunned face. The Martins don't tolerate disrespect. Ethan, you're not the only suitable match on the East Coast. As he scrambled to explain my family connections to his gaping classmates, cold clarity cut through the drama. Our engagement had always been practical, me fresh from taking Martin Corp's reins. Him the perfect socially acceptable partner. His grandmother's tragic romance with my grandfather decades ago made this match poetic. The Collins family's modest background overlooked because Ethan inherited her artistic talent and those haunting eyes that reminded grandfather of his lost first love. But sentimentality breeds weakness. Watching Ethan's panic as he realized the Martin Group's full legal team would be reviewing our contracts by morning, I calculated faster than any hedge fund algorithm. The Collins family's social capital versus potential liabilities? Not worth the Bordeaux stain on his shirt. Better to cut losses now than end up like the Mangs during that Taiwan semiconductor merger disaster. I left the restaurant with 2 resolutions. First, call grandfather's estate lawyer before dessert menus got printed. Second, have my assistant compile dossiers on every eligible heir from Boston to Palm Beach. Risk management isn't romantic, but neither are prenuptial agreements. I plan to pack my bags and move to a hotel. But perhaps due to prolonged exhaustion finally catching up with me, combined with travel fatigue, I felt dizzy. After entering the bedroom intending to rest briefly before leaving, I unexpectedly fell into deep sleep. The apartment remained empty until nightfall. Muffled voices of a man and woman drifted from the entrance. Suddenly, Ethan opened the bedroom door. Sophia. I was helping Olivia look at apartments this afternoon. We haven't found anything suitable yet. Sophia? I struggled to sit up. Do you have any fever reducers here? I think I'm running a temperature. Before Ethan could answer, a shrill scream erupted from the living room. Olivia had caught her fingers in the door. Without hesitation, Ethan bolted from the bedroom. After chaotic shuffling and slamming doors, the apartment fell silent. Earlier, I'd vaguely heard Olivia sobbing about her piano playing, fingers needing hospital attention. Weakly calling out twice confirmed they'd indeed left. Normally, this kind of fever would subside with medication and rest. But currently too weak to even get out of bed, let alone buy medicine. I reluctantly contacted my only other local contact, business associate Jefferson. His secretary immediately arranged an ambulance to a private hospital. The doctor warned I'd nearly developed pneumonia. During my 2-day hospitalization, Ethan only called once while I was undergoing tests. Discharged on the third afternoon, I returned to the apartment via Jefferson's car service. Tonight was Chris's private gallery exhibition. Though I'd promised Ethan an invitation, I intended to use the second ticket myself, Chris's wife being an old friend I'd come to visit. Returning to the apartment, I found neither Ethan, Olivia, nor the invitations. My opened luggage lay ransacked, though my laptop remained untouched on the desk. Calling Chris directly, I casually mentioned my stolen invitations during pleasantries, requesting police involvement if anyone used them. Each invitation bore unique names and codes. Furious, Chris sent real-time surveillance from the gallery entrance. Predictably, Ethan and Olivia appeared. Watching security toss the rain-soaked pair onto the street nearly made me rupture something laughing. Their pristine white formal wear became muddier than stray dog's fur before police hauled them away. Having navigated corporate battlegrounds for years, I'm no saint. With Chris's permission, I posted the surveillance footage on Ethan and Olivia's university forums, adding an anonymous exposé about Ethan's engagement while stringing along other girls. Their campus life should prove eventful. After visiting Mrs. Chris, I flew home. Grandfather's unsuccessful surgery had left him comatose in ICU. Landing, I received father's call. Grandfather had flatlined hours earlier. My heart remained still. If anything, I felt unshackled. Grandfather Martin spent the latter half of his life obsessed with having a grandson, a male heir. But humans often find themselves denied precisely what they crave most. In his youth, the old man had been a notorious womanizer, though his arranged marriage partner, Grandmother Martin, proved far from submissive. After burying my father, she'd systematically eliminated countless mistresses and unborn illegitimate children. Ultimately, she'd dragged the philandering patriarch to get a vasectomy. My father inherited his mother's ruthless streak but channeled it into monogamous devotion. He loved my mother so fiercely that when she died after giving birth to me, their only child, he followed grandmother's example. Much to grandfather's fury, father got himself sterilized too. Thus I became the sole heir of the Martin bloodline. Grandfather reluctantly retrieved me from the orphanage, though until I demonstrated business acumen in college by generating 9-figure profits for the family corporation. He'd only seen me as an incubator for future great-grandsons. At grandfather's funeral reception, my private investigator delivered news. Ethan and Liv had drunkenly tumbled into bed together. Likely Liv's calculated move upon sensing Ethan's wandering eye, not that he'd resisted. They thought their overseas antics would stay buried if they returned home with diplomas. Break off the engagement? Your grandfather's corpse isn't even cold yet. Mrs. Collins screeched, her signature vinegar tone intact. You're practically 30. No respectable family would want used goods like you. I nodded to my assistant, who slid the termination agreement across the coffee table alongside the Collins' original betrothal gifts, a laughable collection of gold-plated trinkets. Grandfather had been so desperate to ally with the Collins family that he told them to send token junk. Mrs. Collins, please sign. All exchanged items will be returned per the original inventory. My assistant stated. Sophia. Who do you think you are? The matriarch snatched and shredded the documents. This marriage was your grandfather's decree. You can't. Another copy materialized. My assistant tapped the attached dossier. Evidence of Mr. Collins' infidelity, compromising photos, chat logs, hotel receipts, and his university's disciplinary notice regarding the resulting scandal. We trust you'll agree he's unfit to marry Ms. Martin. Mrs. Collins flushed crimson but rallied. So my son has an admirer. That just proves his excellence. Beside her, Professor Will Collins, the epitome of academic decorum, stammered. This is a misunderstanding. Ethan was seduced. My assistant's smile turned glacial. We prefer an amicable resolution. Unless you'd rather settle this in court. You dare disrespect your elders? Where's your upbringing? Mrs. Collins shrilled, crossing my legs on the velvet sofa. I sipped bourbon while maintaining eye contact. Let them choke on their own fury. Final offer. My assistant checked his watch. Next communication comes via subpoena. Wait! Professor Collins blurted. The face-obsessed scholar ignored his wife's shrieks and scrawled his signature. Mother named me Sophia, wishing me childhood's innocence and sturdy growth like blessed timber. Yet they tried grafting me as a parasitic vine to some unworthy trunk. Now, finally, my roots dig deep into the earth of my own choosing. I left the lawyers and assistants to handle the rest. The Martin family froze Ethan's parents' bank accounts and revoked all VIP privileges, even recalling the Collins villa with assistance from security personnel. For over 2 decades, they'd treated the Martins' generosity as their birthright, which made their quick signatures on those documents both foolish and convenient for me. Ethan reportedly sold his designer wardrobe to afford a flight back from France. Ms. Sophia. Ethan's currently at the corporate entrance holding, while my assistant hesitated, a massive bouquet of roses. He's kneeling on both knees at the main entrance. Both knees. The man's clearly lost his mind. Have security remove him. Call police if necessary. I returned to reviewing contracts, bitterly amused how fictional tycoons had time for romance while real-world CEOs functioned as 24/7 work machines. Not that I minded the hefty paychecks. The Collins had always been social climbers. Their family only brushing elite circles due to our grandparents' classic poor girl meets wealthy heir romance. Yet they kept overstepping. Arriving at my father's estate for documents, I found Ethan cozying up to M in the parlor. There you are. Sophia! M grasped my hand with faux warmth. Ethan came to explain everything. Really, dear. Men attract admirers because they're exceptional. You shouldn't flex corporate power over schoolyard crushes. I withdrew my hand. Unless you want me to find Dad a less meddlesome wife. Stay in your lane. Ethan rose with tragic elegance. Sophia. I've been wrong. Please. 20 years of chances. Ethan. I cut him off. Any business-savvy partner would outperform your unstable, disrespectful. But I resisted our arrangement because it felt forced. His voice broke. I never realized, until losing you. I slammed the study door, texting security to clear the premises. Months later, the Collins outdid themselves. Mrs. Collins posted a viral video weeping about our heartbroken boy before cutting to Ethan dramatically drinking in rain-soaked alleys. Caption: How can 20 years of childhood love vanish? My son's only crime is being desirable. Some rival corporation leaked details, sparking media frenzy. The public ate up our real-life soap opera with relish. This makes telenovelas look tame. Trended worldwide. I stared at my buzzing phone. Torn between fury and reluctant amusement, the Collins had truly mastered melodramatic entrepreneurship. Turns out even heiresses can get jealous enough to break up. With all their wealth, the only suffering left is in matters of the heart. In corners unknown to the socialite, this perfect specimen of a man quietly fell apart. Quality men truly aren't circulating in the market. Gossip accounts deliberately painted me, Sophia Martin, as a spoiled rich girl. Some influencers trying to go viral analyzed from another angle, isn't this fiancé literally the villainess from web novels? The guy forced into an arranged marriage by elders, silently pining after his crush, having to humble himself before the toxic fiancé for family's sake, tragic novel tropes becoming reality. Netizens quickly doxed me. Keyboard warriors choked on their insults when preemptive PR moves hit. Martin heiress dumps cheater trended across platforms. Official accounts released Ethan Collins' affair timeline with evidence. Attached were millions spent by the Collins family through Martin accounts over the years. Legal teams immediately sued every defamatory influencer. Though stocks dipped briefly, they rebounded stronger. Netizens crowned me the modern heroine of revenge stories. Countless ordinary girls rallied behind me. Their past heartaches soothed seeing Collins' downfall. Mrs. Collins went live ranting, "Who wants that Martin trash? My perfect son deserves admirers. So what if he hooks up? She's been denying him for years," frigid tease. Other women's kids would still call her mom. Ancient noble wives begged concubines to breed. With boosted traffic from my secret payments, her live stream hit 100K viewers. Mid-tirade, a connection request popped up. A sweet-faced girl appeared. "Want my son? Not everyone qualifies." Mrs. Collins sneered at the girl's plain clothes. The girl smiled angelically. "Sister, I'm carrying Professor Will's twins. Shouldn't I take the Mrs. Collins title now?" "What? Will Collins promise to divorce you?" I reveled in Mrs. Collins' pallor. My PI found Professor Will's long-term affair with a student he'd lured with academic promises. He'd stalled on divorcing after her pregnancy. I simply had chatty nurses discuss mistresses confronting wives during her prenatal checkups. The dumb mistress stormed the live stream. Netizens unleashed venom. "Weren't you begging for concubines earlier? Here's your wish." Guess infidelity runs in Collins' DNA. Mrs. Collins shrieked obscenities before both streams got banned. What a spectacle! Later, Professor Will landed in the ICU, whether from rage or exposure remains unclear. His mistress's stunt resolved my PR crisis. Though Collins' men's affairs versus original wife trends disappeared the next day. Removing a costs triple buying them, wonder where Ethan got the funds. My assistant slid into my DMs with fresh intel. It turned out Ethan had directly borrowed $1 million from loan sharks. The combined costs of suppressing trending topics and Will's hospitalization ran into hundreds of thousands. I wheeled my luggage through the door and immediately collapsed onto the living room sofa. Apparently Olivia remained oblivious to the fact that without me, the Collins family was just an ordinary middle-class household. Repaying that $1 million wouldn't be easy, especially after Will lost his position as a university professor. What we never anticipated was that they'd never intended to repay it at all. Shortly after Will regained consciousness, the trio quietly fled overseas with the remaining funds during a moment of inattention. Ethan had always harbored immigration fantasies, convinced of his inherent superiority and that only foreign citizenship could match his self-proclaimed artistic genius. His mother, infected by this delusion, became certain the grass was greener abroad. This became their family's twisted version of the American dream. Years later, while waiting at a red light, I spotted a familiar face through my car window. A heavily made-up Olivia was being beaten on the sidewalk by a CEO's wife screaming about catching the other woman. But hadn't she been pregnant with Ethan's child? If she'd returned to China, then where were the Collinses? My assistant in the driver's seat noticed my pensive expression and volunteered information. During our corporation's recent expansion into France, our collaborator Jefferson had shared occasional gossip during business dealings. The The Collins family had entered the country illegally without proper documentation, eventually reduced to renting in the poorest district. Within days, the money they'd brought from China was stolen. When Olivia learned their situation, she tried breaking up with Ethan. During the argument, Mrs. Collins shoved her, causing a miscarriage at 5 months. Olivia later dropped out without graduating, slinking back to China in disgrace. As for Ethan, street painting earnings couldn't sustain the family. Here, my assistant hesitated, discomfort flashing across his face. At my urging, he continued, from Jefferson's hints, Ethan likely turned to underground work. Now it was my turn to wear that complicated expression. I cut off further details, instructing him to cease monitoring the family. Everyone's destiny deserves respect. These days, I have wealth, influence, and freedom more than enough to savor my own life's journey.